Hello there, and welcome to the Ebon Hawk podcast. Today, we are making our way to Manaan. So, if you've been following along with us as we've been kind of going through our film adaptation and through our stops, we just left Tatooine, and the next stop is the watery planet of Manaan. But first things first, Cassia, how are we going to get to Manaan? So, we found a star map on Tatooine, right? So, did that point us in the right direction of Manaan, or did we get another tip along the way, or a memory came back to Revan? What do you think? How do we end up getting to Manaan?
I don't know. With the star maps, I kind of wonder if they could kind of lead you to, should it be one planet at a time, or should it be like they kind of get the set of the planets and I don't know. I'd kind of like it to build, like have some artistry and maybe just seeing they have to kind of deduce what constellations and be like, where is this on the planet, kind of do some old-fashioned Star Wars kind of archaeology and kind of figure out where things are, do some treasure hunting, and maybe each star map kind of builds on the last, and you could kind of have a cool visual, like in the Ebon Hawk ship, maybe it's they're kind of building the map layer by layer, and kind of make it look not just blinking dots, like we've seen in the prequel, original, and sequel trilogy, but make it kind of look like a old Renaissance, star map. That's what I think, kind of like the Star Wars version of that.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. If you played Jedi Fallen Order, when you're on their ship, it's kind of like a holo table that they have the planets on. So something like that might be more interesting and more interactive than a screen. But I think that the star map that we find on Tatooine is going to point us in the right direction. I think for a film, that just makes the most sense to not give, the list of, you have to go to these 4 places. But if it directs us to one, then we're not left trying to figure out, well, why do we pick to go to one over the other? And right. So it just kind of lays that out for us. But I think that it would be cool if, in addition to, say, getting the next location, we also get some sort of snippet about where the Star Forge is, and that's why we have to go to all of these places. So maybe there's this is the next location, and here's kind of a quarter of, I don't know, the coordinates or the zone in space where you need to go and get this thing.
Yeah. They need to have enough of the path known so they can have a quest, but then, kind of the ups and downs of the journey, are the story. So I think, they kind of just, in the game, you kind of, occasionally in between some of the planets, you have to do that little tutorial. Well, not tutorial, but, you kind of do that mini game where you have to shoot Sith fighters. I don't know what would be the most interesting thing to see, in a movie. Maybe occasionally you could have some Sith fighters. I think maybe that would make the most sense, in the first movie. But I don't know. How would you build tension, kind of flying planet to planet?
I think that there are some locations that sort of lend themselves better to having some sort of space battle, some war in the stars as you're coming off of them. I don't know that Tatooine really feels that way to me, but I do think that spending some time aboard the Ebon Hawk is going to be important for kind of character development and to kind of give, the team a little bit of time to rest and slow the pace of the film down, because we're going to these locations and there's going to be a lot going on when we're there. So to be able to get some time back on board. And I think that coming off of Tatooine, I think that kind of the mood of the Ebon Hawk's starting to come down, right? So the first, after you get off of Terrace, the first film's kind of on an upward trajectory, and this one's going to start bringing us down a little bit. So you have Bastila is just, coming off of having this interaction with her mom. I still think that maybe we get some sort of injury or a separation that we're dealing with coming off of Tatooine. So I think that, our team on board here has just kind of suffered a blow. So it's just kind of a quiet, more somber sort of character building time, a chance to kind of check in on everyone and see what's going on with the team.
Yeah. So it would be kind of interesting just to kind of like compare film to film, like
Hmm.
because Terrace, I think like the crew would kind of be like, on alert, kind of on edge. But
Right.
then Dantooine is kind of like a calming place, and then I think Kashyyyk would kind of be a bit more of a positive experience than Terrace, and maybe kind of give the crew a little bit of a false sense of like hope and security, which that's part of the hero's journey is kind of like the road of trials, like
Hmm.
the hero kind of like experiences challenges, but then they kind of, succeed, and then they kind of are like, oh, the whole journey is going to be easy, and then it's like, no, it's not, So
Right. And
let's
I
have a
think
Leviathan about it.
and I think that spending time on board is going to be good for any sort of relationship we would get between like Bastila and Revan. Not necessarily like a romantic type of a thing, but as Revan starting to figure out little bits and pieces and some of his training and kind of strength and knowledge of the forces coming back. You're going to need some time for Bastila and probably Jolie to kind of go over that stuff with him a little
Yeah.
bit. So
Yeah. I mean, in the Force Unleashed novel, like Starkiller would kind of just work on his lightsaber and spar on the ship, and I could see a lot
mm,
of the Jedi just kind of like, you have to keep your lightsaber sharp, your lightsaber
right,
skills. Like, there's a whole lot of Sith out there that you're gonna have to fight, so you can't just negotiate your way out of all of these situations. So, gotta have to learn that. And one thing I kind of think they could do is like, kind of play up like the dreams, that they have, because it's kind of like they're kind of sharing a mind, like a place in the Force when like
mm,
they're experiencing those star map visions.
right.
So you could kind of show that visually, I believe too, like get a little Sleeping Beauty about it. I don't know, like I'm just trying to make a fairy tale here, I suppose. So
Yeah, yeah, and I think that that connection is going to be important and something that we need to explore in a second film, especially as we get to the end and there's kind of the separation there. So I think that it's really important to kind of hammer home this kind of bond that they share.
I mean, in the game, like there is a kiss scene that happens on the Ebon Hawk, but I would actually maybe, to negate the kind of Han and Leia comparisons where it's like they
Hmm.
have their first kiss on the Millennium Falcon. Like I'm kind of like, maybe why don't we have it like on one of the planets? I think it would just be more visually interesting than like, here's a Durasteel wall,
Right.
And I don't know, like I think you would maybe want to kind of make it where they're both on equal footing and they're kind of just having a little bit more of a mature conversation rather than like, you look like a Kinrath pup, and
Right. Yeah.
like just a little bit more uh mature dialogue, I would say. And I don't know, like I think Manaan would be a good place for that scene to kind of happen rather than just like the Ebon Hawk, because I'm kind of just like, if someone, I don't know, because like sometimes when I watch Empire Strikes Back, like I know Han and Leia love each other, but like
Hmm.
maybe for someone watching it nowadays, it's like, Han is kind of like blocking her exit, and like, is she into this? Like, like if you're watching it the
Right.
first time, it's like maybe that could be,
Yeah.
a little iffy.
Well, maybe what we need is some high tensions on Manaan. So that's where we're headed next. We get to Manaan. And Manaan is a big water planet. It's basically like the sunny, happy version of Camino. Like it could literally
Yeah.
just be like on the other side of the planet, right? Like one side gets sun and one side gets crazy storms and rain. But what do you think about seeing Manaan in a film, what do you think it's going to look like? Does it have kind of an aesthetic that you'd want to see, or do you have any good film inspirations for what Manaan's going to look like?
I think like if you just say Camino, but it's sunny, but it has kind of like a mechanical city, like
Hmm.
that differentiates it from Lehon. Because Lehon, it's kind of like a little bit of like a ancient temple, kind of like on an island, and it's
Hmm.
kind of like in some of the concept art, you kind of see like there was some like wrecked ships and stuff in the distance, and like I think in some of the concept art, like you can kind of see like oil in the distance, like a little bit more ruined world. But
Hmm.
Lehon in the game is just kind of just more mysterious. Like I was like, oh, maybe it'd be fun to go on a vacation there, except for like like some of the crazy Rakatans.
Right.
But Manaan is like it's like the surface of like an ocean. It's like on a good day.
Hmm.
It's sunny and bright, and like it has a cool aesthetic. Like you don't really see too much of that, like because Camino, it's always like raining and all that. But here, it's like I would say it's an ideal, but the surface or the surface is nice, but then when you kind of go deeper, it gets a little bit more scary.
Hmm. Yeah, I think for me, so the kind of the big difference between um, in the game Camino and Manon is Manon's more open, or I guess Camino's more closed in because of the weather. But I think uh, in the film, I think it would be kind of neat to have it have some sort of like themes of like Greece, like Santorini, so lots of like blues and whites,
Yeah,
and just a little bit more opulent looking. So basically, you go to Manaan, and this kind of floating city only exists because people have to go there to get Kolto, right? So the Selkath, the
yeah,
native people, they don't need to live up there. So it's just for like making impressions for people coming in. So I think it would have kind
yeah,
of some opulence. Obviously, the Selkath would be pretty wealthy since they're the ones healing up the entire galaxy because it's the only place you can get this kind of thing. But yeah, I think kind of yeah, like a floating like version of like Santorini, just kind of this island, like I said, blues and whites, and just a little bit adorned with uh some fancy stuff. I think would be pretty cool.
yeah.
Oh,
Maybe it could be like coral chic or something.
yeah,
Could be the art.
exactly. I actually had the thought of having like mosaics like inlaid in these big, kind of long walkways that are made out of like coral or bones or something like that. So I thought that something like that would be pretty interesting.
The cloud city of Kotor, I would
Mm,
say.
hmm. Yeah, that's a really good comparison actually. So, um, but yeah, so on the planet, like I just mentioned, they're farming colto. So you have basically half of this floating city is Republic and half of it is Sith, and they're kind of forced to be there, and they're forced to get along because they have to be there to get this colto, and the Selkath doesn't want anything running amok too much. Do you have any sort of film inspirations for kind of the way you think that might play out, or anything in the real world that would kind of mirror that, or what are your thoughts on that? Like how that would kind of feel?
Yeah, student of history and just as an observant person, there's a lot of inspiration for, high
Hmm.
stakes and polarity. One of my inspirations for Tatooine was Casablanca, but now that I kind of think about it, like
Hmm.
maybe that could be an inspiration for Tatooine, but maybe also Manon, maybe just the whole movie could be,
Sure.
inspired
Yeah.
by Casablanca because it's an excellent film, and I think it's literally, perfect. But I would say basically the good Cold War films. What is the name of the one Cold War film where he's on a plane and then he accidentally crashes in Russia with Helen Mirren?
Oh, I don't know that one. I don't think.
But yeah, basically just any Cold War film,
Hmm.
uh, and Casablanca. I remember there was a film that I really liked. I'm trying to think if this is the one I was thinking of. Helen Mirren's been in a lot of movies, just in case you're wondering.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if it's White Knights. I'm just double checking. Nikolai. Yep, it's White Knights. That's the one I was thinking of. So
Okay.
thank you for sticking in for
Yeah.
5 minutes as I look that up. Maybe we'll have to do some editing magic to make it seem seamless. But
Well,
yeah, that's what I was
Helen
thinking
Mirren is
of.
worth the 5 minute wait, so that's okay.
Yeah, she's worth any weight. So yeah.
That's great. Yeah, no, that's a good pick. And like you said, any kind of Cold War type of thing, espionage, anything with high tensions. The film that kind of came to mind for me was Argo, which is Ben Affleck movie, and that one's just super high tension the entire time because you don't know kind
Yeah.
of who knows what and who's going to get caught. And I think that that's going to be an interesting part when you see this, especially with someone like Karth, who's a Republic soldier, and he's probably going to be super on edge during this whole time. So
Yeah, because like it's high stakes, but the Selkath are kind of like we'll sell it to both of them, but the catch is like you have to be neutral on our world. So it's kind
hmm
of like they're a little bit of a Switzerland, but kind of like making the most of it, you know? And I don't know. I think it could just lead to like kind of raised tensions. You don't want to break the neutrality, but you want to get ahead. So,
hmm
and we really haven't seen that much in Star Wars because usually it's just wars, you know?
hmm
Not rather than like there's no cold Star Wars, it's just Star Wars. So,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get to see some more of that kind of stuff in the Cassian Andor series when it comes out because I think that stuff's really interesting and it probably should be a bigger part of some of these stories. Kind of some more information and misinformation and kind of these high tension, high stakes kind of a thing. But like I said, Karth is there. He's probably agitated. I think that Bastila is probably very nervous. If there's a bunch of Sith people there, they very well could know who she is, who Revan is, maybe
Yeah.
even know who Jolie is. So I think that it's just going to be really interesting watching the cast of characters kind of navigate this kind of forced neutrality and what that's going to mean for everyone. Because I get, if Bastila or Revan get kind of seen by the Sith and they recognize them, all they got to do is put in a call to Malik, and he's there, ready to take out his next planet, right?
Yeah, I mean, luckily, I mean, it's kind of written into the story that Revan would just always wear his mask. I mean, that's a little bit not super realistic, but I mean, in The Mandalorian, he basically never took off his helmet, and it was a
hmm
story thing. So I don't know, maybe like Revan kind of like embraced that part of the Mandalorian heritage, which sometimes I'm just like, I wonder if he had a connection, like to the Mandalorian culture. I wonder, do people recognize Bastila on Manaan? Because that would actually be kind of interesting because it's like they're like, oh, she could have a little accident and then like, no more battle meditation, for the
hmm
Republic. So
Yeah.
it is interesting that they're kind of on a mission and like, I don't know if she's quite like a celebrity, but like, like
Right.
in the Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, like the galaxy would tell tales about Anakin and Obi-Wan, like the hero
hmm
with no fear and the negotiator. So,
Right. Yeah, I don't know. That would be interesting to know like exactly how much they might know, but I mean, I would think that maybe they know about this up and coming Jedi named Bastila, but maybe not. I don't know, but it would definitely be interesting to watch that unfold, and I think that would sort of introduce a new wrinkle to our time on Manon. So
yeah. Would you say it would increase the drama?
that would be a lot of more drama on Manon for sure if we had that.
Yeah. It could be
But
Dramon.
Dramon on Manon. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But you know who does not want drama on Manon? And that is the Selkath. Now, we've not
Yeah.
ever seen Selkath in live action. There is a little Selkath bounty hunter guy in the Clone Wars, so you can check that out. But for live action, what are Selkath going to look like? What are they going to sound like? How are these creatures we're getting introduced to going to look and sound?
I love the sound of the Selkath. Um, I think in the game they should have their own language, but then they
Hmm.
should also be able to speak basic kind of with their clicks and like the emphasis on the S, you know.
Hmm.
I would want the Selkath to be CGI, but knowing like kind of the nostalgic bent, you know, I'm
Hmm.
guessing it would be kind of more practical. But I'm not opposed to practical, but I'm kind of just like, I don't know, like I feel like if it looks good, just do CGI. So, because I don't know if like the prequels were filmed without CGI, I don't think we would have like, you know, films like the MCU that we have today, you know,
Hmm.
because people had to kind of pave the way for CGI. But what do you think they would look like and sound like?
Yeah, I think CGI is probably the way to go. I would really like to see like a Selkath like puppet animatronic thing, but you're talking about having like a city and having like Selkath kind of milling around and having different interactions with them. So I think that just doing it CGI, really high quality one, is probably the best way to go there. And yeah, I really do like the way that they sound in the game as well. It's kind of guttural and, like you said, clicks and like these kind of S's. But I think maybe you have like maybe he's sort of like our chaperone for our time on Manaan, and he can, or he or she can kind of speak basic, but it's really like super heavily accented.
Yeah,
The rest of the Selkath can't. So that one's kind of there to serve as sort of a what do you call him? A translator for us in the scene. We'd also have HK47, who I guess could maybe do some translating, but I think it would be more interesting to have kind of like a broken, basic, heavily accented thing coming from
yeah,
one of the Selkath.
yeah. Maybe HK doesn't know the language, even though I think he would because Revan went to that planet. But maybe they're like, HK, we need you to be quiet in the interest of, you know, the war effort and neutrality so we can get the Kolto.
Hmm.
Um, so, yeah, that would be funny. But side note, in case you can hear stuff in the background, I kind of forgot that my washer makes some noise. So I'm
No.
like, in case you hear that in the background, that's what that is. I guess it goes with the whole aquatic theme and
Yeah.
machine and aquatic theme we have going on. So hopefully that's not distracting, but if not, just pretend it's a Colto, machine for ambiance,
I just say it's just a Manon ambiance, like one of those white noise machines for Star Wars sounds. That sounds good.
Yeah. So speaking of ambiance, I guess thanks to our patrons on Patreon, they're helping us create some KOTOR lo-fi tracks and postcards, and we're gonna have postcards for each of the KOTOR planets, and get your favorite tracks from Knights of the Old Republic and lo-fi them, and like it'll be fun to chill to, and maybe we can even get some ambiance, as we get more advanced. So,
I'm loving the first lo-fi track, so I've played through that one quite a bit. So I'm excited to see what the next one up sounds like.
yeah, the next one up is gonna be the Sith slash Endar Spire theme. We just wanted to thank our patrons on Patreon for making that possible. Thank you to Minhaz. Thank you, Seymour Dover. Thank you, Lorg. And thank you, Nikki Dog. And if you want to support us on Patreon, the link is in our bio at Ebonhawk Podcast on Instagram.
Thank you all the Patreons. We appreciate your support. And now, before we head down to the Colto mine, we should probably talk about the Kolto, and it is all about the Kolto here. So, like I mentioned before, the Republic and the Sith are here to get their Kolto supplies. They actually mention Kolto in the High Republic novels because
Yeah.
they're just sort of, getting on board with Bacta and moving away from Kolto. But yeah, everyone's here. They have to kind of be here. So tensions are super high. Everyone's kind of waiting for, whoever kind of throws the first punch is going to be the ones getting in trouble and possibly losing their Kolto supply. What do you think about our team as we're kind of spending our time up in the top level of Manaan here? How do they navigate kind of these higher tensions? We've got Karth there, who's a Republic soldier. We've got some Jedi with us. We don't have any Sith with us, but what do you think? Are there any sort of character lines or developments or anything in particular you think would be fun or interesting to see happen?
I think definitely kind of showcasing that Jolie has connections on Manon is critical to kind of just show that like he has connections and he has a history and a past and he has friends and he was a part of the galaxy, like as a
Hmm.
Jedi. And I think he's kind of the mediator, kind of running into old friends, kind of trying to help out. And then I think like the big three you kind of want to focus on are Karth, Bastila, and Revan. Kind of
Hmm.
like just seeing how they align with the Republic and Sith, the war, trust, the Republic and the Jedi and each other and the Ebon Hawk crew. Like, yeah, just kind of seeing how the situation on Manon kind of mirrors the characters standing in the galaxy and like there's some duplicity in the Ebon Hawk crew.
Hmm. Yeah, I think this actually might be a good time to get a little action from T3 M4. Maybe we get some espionage going on with Karth. Can take T3 to steal some Sith plans or something like that. So maybe this would be a good time to let T3 off of the Ebon Hawk and have some action because we haven't seen a lot from our favorite little droid there.
Yeah, and I don't know. Like, I kind of play with the idea that T3 is Bastila's, but kind of becomes like, you know, part of the whole Ebon Hawk crew.
Hmm.
And for me, like, I think it's just easiest to kind of visualize T3 on either Terrace or Manon, kind of just living his best droid life, as I think we've kind of said. And definitely Jolie has a lot to do in Manon.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. Like you said, Jolie does have some stuff to do here. He has some ties to Manon, or at least ties to people on Manon. Yeah, I think it's just going to be super interesting to just watch the team kind of interact in this weird sort of environment where
Yeah.
all the like I said, all the tensions are high, but yeah, you don't really know what way it's going to go, and if there's any opportunity to uh, deal a defeat to the Sith, or maybe we get in trouble trying to accomplish that. I don't know. It'll be fun to see that kind of play out, I think.
Yeah, definitely for sure.
All right. Well, I think that wraps it up for the top level of Manon. Why don't we take a quick break and we'll head down to the Kolto mines and we'll try to find this star map.
And you can find us on Instagram at Ebon Hawk Podcast.
And if you want to connect with me, I can be found on Instagram at astro_droid_. On Patreon, the link is in our Instagram bio, or you can find it at www.patreon.com/EbonHawk Podcast. The Ebon Hawk can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, as well as everywhere else that Anchor podcasts are distributed. Subscriptions, reviews, and shares help us out.
Our intro and outro themes were composed by Alistair Shorerman at alistairsounds.wixsite.com/Alistair Sounds. Our transition music was composed by Christian Walker at christianwalkermusic.com. This episode of the Ebon Hawk podcast has been brought to you by Nikki Dog from Patreon. May the force be with you. We will be back soon. Bye for now.